I think Jake Paul is crazy enough to fight Anthony Joshua because the money would be absolutely obscene. It's a catastrophic mismatch that people would tune in to watch because it would lead to the end of Jake Paul.
Fans won't like this, by the way. But
I don't like it
No, I don't like it either. But the way that Joshua will see it is as a money grab. He'll see it as an easy money grab. But at this stage of his career, is it a fight he should be taking? Nah.
The guy who finally put an end to this Jake Paul thing, right? If he goes out there and puts Jake Paul in the dirt, he's going to be heralded. He's going to be a hero.
Eddie Hearn recently shared his thoughts on Jake Paul's decision to fight Anthony Joshua, and his reaction was far from optimistic. The Matchroom promoter didn't hold back, warning that Jake Paul is making the biggest mistake of his career by even entertaining a fight with the former unified heavyweight champion. According to Hearn, this isn't just another money grab or Netflix spectacle. It's a career-ending decision that could end Jake Paul's boxing journey for good. He insists that Joshua's power, experience, and sheer physicality would leave Paul utterly destroyed, emphasizing that this matchup crosses a dangerous line between entertainment and survival.
Jake Paul, Anthony Joshua, 50-50 fight. What do you make of that?
Yeah, I just said in another interview, great if it is. I mean, if it is, then you've got no problem seeing it. But when AJ, I mean, decapitate's a strong word, but you know, when he renders Jake Paul unconscious like he did to Francis Ngannou, don't then say, oh well, it was Jake Paul. Do you know what I mean? I mean, when AJ beat Francis Ngannou, Ngannou just had a fight that could have gone either way with Tyson Fury. Then AJ poleaxed him and everyone just said he's just an MMA fighter. Do you know what I mean? Jake Paul's not Francis Ngannou. But, as I said before, if you want to see Jake Paul exit the boxing world, make the fight.
It is being widely reported that Jake Paul is in the final stages of negotiating a heavyweight bout with Anthony Joshua, set for next month in Miami, to be streamed globally on Netflix. The matchup would mark a significant step up for Paul, who has previously fought mostly non-traditional high-level opposition, while Joshua is a former two-time unified heavyweight world champion who last fought in September 2024. Eddie Hearn confirmed that his team has been actively exploring the idea. While the matchup was initially considered down the line, the cancellation of the Jake Paul versus Tank Davis fight could accelerate plans, potentially bringing the bout forward sooner than anticipated. Hearn stressed that discussions are still in the exploratory stage, with no official agreement finalized. Still, he acknowledged that the window for a high-profile clash between Paul and Joshua may now open earlier due to the change in the schedule. Eddie emphasized that Joshua's team still has its sights set on a shot at the world heavyweight title or a showdown with Tyson Fury. Hearn acknowledged that although the Paul fight could happen, it is not the primary focus. He stated the priority is rebuilding Joshua's path back to the belt rather than simply staging a spectacle.
There's been some conversations with myself and Nikisa. I think Jake and AJ have spoke as well. You know, from our point of view, if we're going to have a run-out fight, why not run out against Jake Paul, you know, for a lot of money? So there's ongoing conversations there. I can't tell you it's close. I can't tell you we've seen a contract. But if he genuinely wants to fight Anthony Joshua, I don't see why we wouldn't have a chance to do that fight. But, you know, our focus is on really a charge for the World Heavyweight Championship and a charge at Tyson Fury. We can't control that either. So, like I said, that's why I said to you, absolutely at the moment, anything is possible.
Hearn has expanded on his concerns regarding a potential fight between Jake Paul and Anthony Joshua, warning that the pairing would be far more than a spectacle. Hearn argues that the matchup is significantly mismatched, pointing to the vast gap in size, experience, and power between the two fighters. He stressed that the danger involved isn't theoretical, but very real, suggesting the fight could substantially harm Paul's career, if not end it altogether. In his view, the risk to Paul's health and standing in boxing is such that making the fight happen would require careful consideration, regardless of the commercial upside.
Let's do what AJ ever so quickly. I watched Jake Paul the weekend. I feel a bit dirty saying that because I'm not a fan of his, but he did say after the fight that he's sort of having DMs or he's dropping text messages to AJ. They're having a chat about a potential fight. What's your view on that, Eddie?
Well, look, he's calling out Gervonta Davis, who is a 135-pound lightweight, and he's calling out Anthony Joshua, that's a heavyweight monster. I think Jake Paul is crazy enough to fight Anthony Joshua because the money would be absolutely obscene. It's a catastrophic mismatch that people would tune in to watch because it would lead to the end of Jake Paul. Hopefully not literally, but it's that dangerous that, you know, it's a fight that I don't think should really happen, if I'm honest. I would say about Jake Paul, and I've said this in a couple of interviews today, I do think you start after giving him a margin of respect. You know, I think this guy is going through the motions, he's putting the hard spars in. He just went 10 rounds with, yes, a washed-up fighter, but a former world champion that did train for that fight. But they're very clever in terms of the opponents that they pick. They're not going to gamble unless the money's out of control. And it wouldn't surprise me if Jake Paul, like, wanted to move forward with an Anthony Joshua fight. Honestly, AJ's coming tonight. He's not exactly looking at Jake Paul going, oh, that's my dream opponent. No. Would he go in there and give him a hiding for, you know, a massive chunk of money? Probably. I'd be saying, yeah, go on. I'd like to see it.
Mike Coppinger of The Ring recently flagged serious concerns about a potential fight between Jake Paul and Anthony Joshua, suggesting it's being pursued by Paul largely because of the hefty payday rather than the sporting merit. According to Coppinger, the deal is in advanced talks but hinges on major broadcast and sanctioning issues. He noted that Joshua represents a significant step up in size, power, and experience for Paul, and implied that the mismatch raises real safety concerns. While the fight could move forward due to the commercial draw, Coppinger's reporting underscores that the risk to Paul's boxing credibility and personal health looms large. It remains unconfirmed whether the proposed bout between Jake Paul and Anthony Joshua will be classified as a professional fight or an exhibition. However, no official sanctioning terms have been disclosed publicly, and questions remain about the rules, whether it will count on official records and how it will be regulated.
Here's a breaking story on Ring Magazine. Anthony Joshua and Jake Paul are finalising a deal for a heavyweight fight on Netflix in December in Miami. Sources tell the Ring Magazine's Mike Coppinger. What do you make of that?
Well, Anthony Joshua was talking about wanting warm-up fights before going into bigger fights, but look, it's prize fighting at the end of the day, and the way that Joshua will see it, and Matchroom and all the team, the fans won't like this, by the way. But
I don't like it
No,
either.
I don't like it either. But the way that Joshua will see it is as a money grab. He'll see it as an easy money grab, but at this stage of his career, is it a fight he should be taking? Nah, definitely not.
Yeah, but it shouldn't be licensed because it's a really dangerous fight.
Do we know if it's an exhibition or a real fight?
We don't know yet, but I don't think they should be allowing Anthony Joshua in a ring with Jake Paul. It's dangerous for him.
It can't be a real fight, because if it's a real fight, Anthony Joshua would take Jake Paul's head clean off. So it can't be a real fight.
Well, that's what I'm worried about.
Yeah,
I don't want to see a man decapitated in Miami
yeah,
in a ring in December.
Listen, and that's what will happen. So let's see how it unfolds.
However, many seasoned boxing professionals have outright condemned the idea. Veteran heavyweight Derek Chisora has fiercely criticized the prospect of Jake Paul receiving a WBC ranking, branding it a disrespect to boxing.
The WBC have said they're going to give a cruiserweight ranking to the winner of this fight. Do you think they deserve one?
I don't think so. I don't know why. It's hard enough for real athletes, for real boxers, to gain those rankings, and then suddenly this Solomon Tuesday decides to give double ranking because he's getting some greens in his, in his back pocket. No, that is disgrace to boxing.
Boxing legend Roy Jones offered an unexpected perspective on the fight. While Roy acknowledged that a showdown could happen if Joshua truly wanted it, he stressed the bout must make sense for Joshua both competitively and financially. Calling Joshua a legitimate former world champion, Jones firmly stated, "Did you see what Anthony Joshua did to Francis Ngannou? The same thing happens to Jake Paul. If you think someone who isn't a full-time boxer will beat Anthony Joshua, then you're crazy."
I want to change subjects just a little bit here. And Anthony Joshua, there's rumours circulating he could be fighting Jake Paul next. One, do you think it's good for boxing? And two, do you think the fight will happen?
I think it's great for boxing. I think the fight will happen. AJ is 1-0 against these guys that come in to these boxing careers late. So why not? He's a perfect guy to take him out too. He took Ngannou out. Why would he not take Jake Paul out? And for him, he'd probably make more money fighting Jake Paul than he will fight anybody else that he can fight right now. So why would he not do it? I mean, not that he needs the money right now anyway, but if he's going to do something, if you want to get a good win to put him back on the scene, that's a perfect win. You get a lot of money doing it.
Will Jake Paul become a world champion?
No.
Why?
I think if they make him fight tough opponents, guys with experience, those guys will beat him. Now, if you catch somebody like myself at the end of their career, or somebody like Tyson, he caught at the end of their career, the chances are much higher because now it becomes more of a 50-50. You got a guy who's better than him, but the age factor. You understand me? And that's the only way to balance it for him to make it a 50-50 fight. Somebody who's on his level at the same age, those guys have too much experience. You understand me? So he's not going to beat those guys. But you find a guy who is past his prime, who has the mentality further than his, but past their prime, it kind of evens the stakes.
Leon Edwards has weighed in on the potential fight between Jake Paul and Anthony Joshua, indicating his clear support for Joshua in the matchup. According to coverage on MMA Fighting, Edwards regards the fight as tilted heavily in Joshua's favor, reflecting the view that Paul would be taking a significant step up in challenge. While the bout remains speculative and not finalized, Edwards' comments reinforce the perception of a mismatch based on experience and status in the boxing world.
I don't know if you've seen, but this fight's in the works, Anthony Joshua versus Jake Paul. As a Brit, how do you evaluate?
I've just seen that. Someone just told me about that. That's mad. Fair play to Jake Paul, first of all, for taking it. But if Asia doesn't knock him out in like 1-2 rounds, then I feel like the fight must be fixed or something, because I'm going to Anthony Joshua, obviously, for the KO. So yeah, when is it, you know?
It's going to be next month they're working towards.
Oh, yeah, sick. Yeah, I'm going AJ for the win.
Cheers.
Stephen A. Smith has long been critical of Jake Paul's choice of opponents, often labeling them as non-boxers or fighters past their prime. In response, Paul defended his record, stating that he attempted to fight Tommy Fury, but that Fury declined the bout. This remark highlights a pivotal moment in Paul's boxing journey. While he has secured victories over former MMA fighters and seasoned boxers, he has yet to consistently defeat emerging active boxing talents. His loss to Tommy Fury in February 2023 marked one of the rare instances where he faced a current boxer in their prime.
You are beating up on dudes who don't box. They're not boxers.
I was on Disney Channel while these guys were winning UFC championships.
Okay.
You know, I was playing with Mickey Mouse while these guys were throwing arm bars and winning UFC championships. Everyone's, analyzing my career, critiquing it, paying attention to it from day one, but you can't tell me who was Mike Tyson's first fight. You can't tell me who Muhammad Ali, who was his fourth fight. No one knows, but everyone's seen all of my fights. I tried to fight Tommy Fury. Yeah, I tried to fight Tommy Fury, and he backed out due to a rib injury. Undefeated, young prospect. He comes from the Fury family. His brother's the heavyweight champion of the world. I tried to fight him, and he got scared.
Smith has openly criticized Jake Paul for choosing to fight boxing legend Mike Tyson. Smith argues that if Paul is serious about boxing, he should compete against opponents of his age and caliber, rather than calling out seasoned veterans like Anthony Joshua, who possess significantly more experience. Smith's critique centers on the belief that for Paul to gain legitimacy in the boxing world, he must face opponents who are active and comparable in skill and experience.
I can't buy the hype at this particular moment in time. Now, I'll give Jake Paul credit for this. At least he's in the ring with a boxer. But 57 years old is 57 years old. And 57 years old and formally walking into a UFC fight as an audience member, as a patron with a cane, it's hard to me believe a year later that you're going to be in any condition to really, really fight. I hope I'm wrong, but I don't know. And if you're Jake Paul, here's what I want to say to you. It's Mike Tyson, that's fine. It's a money fight, I get you, and you want to make money. But at some point in time, if you keep telling us that you're taking boxing seriously and you want to be recognized as a big-time boxer/fighter, you're going to have to fight somebody closer to your age, who is a contender at the very least in the sport and who lives with it every single day. Could you please get in the ring with somebody? Pretty please, with sugar on top. I'm interested.
What did you think about the fight, Jake Paul?
I hate it. And Jake Paul's starting to piss me off. Mike Tyson is 57 years old, man. Jake Paul been training with professional boxing trainers for years. He takes the sport very seriously.
Thank you. So let me ask you, that's the question I have, because great kid, great businessman, by the way, amazing. And I know how he does all this, the character and the persona. We keep saying that he doesn't want to be a boxer. He's not a boxer. But then
Jake Paul is a boxer.
Yeah, exactly.
That's my point.
Exactly. He's a boxer.
He can fight. I respect it. So go in there against fighters. You should be climbing the ladder towards those other fighters and taking the sport seriously to the point where you're fighting actual boxers. Now he decides to fight a fighter, a real fighter, which is Tyson. But Tyson is 30 years older. Stop this nonsense of going against dudes that either ain't boxing or is 25 years removed from the sport.
On the other hand, Tyson Fury bluntly backed Paul's chances, declaring he'd even bet £1 million on a Jake knockout in the bout. Fury has strongly asserted that Jake Paul could knock out Anthony Joshua in a potential heavyweight clash. Speaking with Ring Magazine before the Usyk-Dubois rematch at Wembley Stadium, Fury declared he thinks Jake Paul will knock out AJ. He added that Paul's heavier, more muscular look suits heavyweight boxing and praised his fearless challenge mindset across weight divisions. Fury even said he would bet £1 million on Paul winning the bout outright.
There's been some talk about possibly Joshua using Jake Paul as a tune-up to fight you. What are your thoughts on that?
I don't know about tune-up. I think Jake Paul knocks him out.
Seriously?
Yeah.
Why so? What impresses you about Jake Paul?
I just think Jake Paul would knock AJ out. I think AJ's a spent force, and I think Jake Paul's on the rise. And I like his new heavyweight look. Bit chubby, bit bulky. Getting there. That's protected. And he just done a great job over the aging Chavez Jr., who was a middleweight, but still. Sure. Yeah. I like how Jake Paul calls out the full spectrum from featherweight to heavyweight. Do you know what I mean? Who did he call out? Tank Williams and Joshua. That's just crazy. That's what you call Richter scale call-outs.
Richter scale, I like that.
Although many critics view a potential fight between Jake Paul and Anthony Joshua as a risk to Joshua's legacy, others argue that Paul has built a reputation for delivering exciting, high-profile spectacles that capture mainstream attention. His bouts consistently generate large audiences and significant media coverage, bringing new fans to boxing who might not normally follow the sport. While skeptics emphasize the mismatch and the potential reputational damage for a former world champion like Joshua, supporters see the commercial and promotional upside, noting that Paul's ability to create buzz can elevate interest in boxing overall.
Think whatever you want of Jake Paul, but I have to respect what he's trying to do here, and I respect the spectacle that this could potentially be and what an attraction it could possibly be on the combined global stardom of Jake Paul and Anthony Joshua. I'm very interested in it, and I think a lot of people will be tuning in to see him get his clock cleaned.
All right, I have found playable odds.
Okay.
I think that's. Fight. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Pizzi.
Go, Pizzi.
Oh, sorry. I think I'm with Rick in terms of how I'd see this fight going. I think it's not a contest at all, but that's where the jeopardy exists if this was to happen for Anthony Joshua. If you go into this fight and he can somehow go late into this fight with you even, I think that's where you get into the territory of tarnishing legacies like Gareth A. Davies said. And as Gareth said as well, if this fight's made, are you honestly not expecting to see that headline on TalkSport immediately? Like, that is straight away where they're going to go with this. But again, it's going to stir the pot. It's going to have everyone talking about it. It's the type of thing that everyone will have an opinion on. And that's, again, what we've seen with all Jake Paul's fights. Like, people can say, oh, I don't care about this. He has everyone talking. And the Tyson fight proved he can get eyeballs. I think this will work in the same way. But I do believe that the jeopardy exists for Anthony Joshua by not performing the way he did against Francis Ngannou, which was a complete annihilation.
Jake Paul is confident that this fight will be a revitalizing force for boxing. He believes the matchup would inject fresh energy, attract new fans, and generate significant global attention. Paul likens himself to a breath of fresh air in the sport, asserting that his mainstream appeal can draw younger audiences who might not typically follow traditional boxing. Paul emphasizes that boxing needs revitalization, and his presence can help achieve that by bridging the gap between mainstream entertainment and the sport's traditional audience. The boxing community and fans have expressed strong opinions regarding Jake Paul's challenge to Anthony Joshua. Many believe that Paul's ambition to fight a seasoned heavyweight like Joshua is unrealistic and over-ambitious.
That's right, the real deal respond to me as I tweeted my thoughts about delusion, which again, I think is more about what Jake said about Anthony Joshua and what he'll do to him. That was the more delusional aspect of this. Amanda Serrano said, at Jake Paul is the truth. Funny, they say he's a fraud for wanting easy fights, then he asked for the toughest fights ever and they say he's nuts. Listen, he was scheduled to fight Canelo Gervonta, and now he's calling out Joshua. Come on, who else is doing this? Oh, crap, on second thought, he is out of his freaking mind. You're right. That was more of just Amanda backing her guy, you know what I'm saying, the co-founder of MVP and someone that she really respects in Jake. But in the middle there, I don't know if she would know or, whatever, but she essentially says that Jake was scheduled to fight Gervonta Davis, and she's not the only one saying that. Dan Raphael said the same thing.
Is Jake Paul biting off more than he can chew with Anthony Joshua? Or is this the fight boxing needs? Drop your thoughts in the comments.